Your innovation needs the right medium to get to the right audience. Have you heard? A promotional news program that sells ideas, organizations, services, people, places and projects to the public with authority and in authenticity is the program to fix such ideas. Have you heard? Brings out the facts that the public wants to get in a unique and unbeatable style that keeps the audience glued to their TV set for bumper analysis on your product, service or activity. If you haven't told your story on Have You Heard, then the story hasn't been told. Let the public hear you loud and clear on Have You Heard. To feature on Have You Heard, contact the marketing department of Crystal TV on
0244 850 773 0302 324 344.
Have You Heard, taking your ideas to your target.
Charles Zoroaster says everything has its beauty, but not everyone sees it. Trailblazers Africa goes about the beauties that is seen, even if nobody sees it. My touchlight will always find it out. And that is why today on Trailblazers Africa, I've got another interesting person who had not only blazed the trail, he has made it blossom. And that is what we'll be looking at today on Trailblazers Africa. My name is Moses Owopade. My guest on the program today is the first African to attain a position that no African has ever been. He actually took over from Professor Nicolas Moore of the University of Dodoo in France. And he became not just the first African, like I said, but also the first non-European to be elected into this high and important position in global drug safety. He is a pharmacist and a clinical pharmacology with degrees from the University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, Ghana, and the King's College London in UK. He is also undertook a year of research at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada. He is currently the head of the Center for Tropical Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutic at the University of Ghana Medical School and leads the global challenge. Well, my guest on today's program, I didn't mention the name. I was just telling you what this man is. His name is Dr. Alex Dodoo. I'd like to welcome you to Trailblazers Africa.
Thank you very much.
Wow, what an interesting profile. From what I have here, at 45, you have become one of the best. Africa could actually say this is our own problem. But I knew, and maybe I'm sure, that it wouldn't have started just like that.
No.
It started somewhere.
It started somewhere. It started here in Ghana.
Maybe in a village.
Jamestown, if you call it a village, but yes, I actually started school in Adabraka.
So let's get to your foundation.
So that is really, was born in Asalam Down, started school in Adabraka and Nima, and then, so I was in New Nation School in Nima for 2 years, but I was in Grey Memorial. Those days you used to have shifts, you go in the morning 1 week, and the following week you go in the afternoon. Then I went to St. John's Grammar School, also in, Achimota. Then it was in the middle of nowhere, before I did my 6th form in Accra Academy. So yes, it's been interesting because I was living in Jamestown throughout my secondary school years. So naturally, you live in a one-bedroom house with your mother, brothers, and no one-bedroom house. I mean, you share one bedroom in a compound house. Our house is still there. It's near the customs on the beach at Jamestown, and I've forgotten the population, but there was like 150 people, something like that. It's a real compound house.
One compound housing 150 to 200 people.
Yeah, it's still there. It's shaped like a ship. Yeah, the customs at Jamestown. Everyone knows the house. We call it Azuma House.
Azuma.
Yeah.
Azuma House.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Right in Jamestown. So growing up there obviously means that resources are limited. My mother had 5. Shared the same room with her. at the time you don't think too much of it. You just get on with life. But with time, you will, wow, this is where I used to live. Fortunately, I still go there a lot. I go to Jamestown because I like to link with the people. Well, I still keep my friends. I haven't changed my friends, and I don't think I want to change my friends. Maybe you make others, but the ones you have been with all along. So, and we meet a lot. We still go to the beach to buy fish sometimes, and they just try to.
Well, I know Jamestown. I have been to Jamestown severally, and I have discovered that majority of people there, especially the youth, go out there fishing.
Yeah.
They see it as hobby.
Yeah.
Has Dr. Alex also fished before?
I've sold fish before, but I haven't gone sea fishing. No. Normally, either you go fishing or you sell the nets that you use for fishing. When they package things, they use these metals. They use the metals to make some form of grill that you can sell. These are the young people who don't do it. But growing up, I think I stayed in Jamestown from 73 because the parents divorced. So coming with a single mother who had 6 kids to feed, and you're living in Jamestown, you live for yourself, really. We always say it's only by God's grace that we went to school. Well, not all of us, my 2 sisters, really. The mother couldn't afford it, so the attention was on the boys. And you remember those days, well, you may not remember, those days there were no lights. So the only place you could get lights to study was opposite the James Ford's prison, the Bible house. They had lights, you sit in front of it and do your reading. But I must say, when we went to secondary school, it was boarding school, so it was a big change in that you get a bed. And
so when you were in primary school, you were going to wherever you can find light to study.
You only go to opposite the James Ford prison, Bible house. That's the only place because the corridor had lights. And you could sit there because in the house, we did not have any lights. You use the lantern, which was both not good for the eye, or you couldn't even find anywhere to sit. Jamestown has always been overcrowded, even more so now. But those days, it was very overcrowded, and you just sleep in the chief's palace. In the evening, you just take your mat and sleep with the chief's palace. The thing is that it taught you how to survive. Because,
but let me ask you a funny question. Why in the midst of your friends at that time, was there anything going on within you that, one day I'll bring a change to my life?
No, really.
I was just going like that.
When you're in Jamestown, life goes on there. My mom insisted that you go to school. So if you don't go, you get some decent beating. So that one was there. But I must say, maybe before the divorce, we had already been enrolled in school. So it was natural to continue. So I was in, I think, class 4. So when I came to class 5, it was normal. And then, fortunately, I managed to get 2 years of preparatory school at New Nation School in Nima. It's in Nima, but it was still a preparatory school. And so I got 2 years there and got a common entrance through. Wow. So, but I must say, during those days, it was all right. The grades were not good. Common entrance, I think I got a very, very poor grade. But it was enough to get me to school.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because Jamestown is an interesting place for everyone at Jamestown, and you are watching this program. This is one of the products of Jamestown. Like the African addict, that out of the black pot comes the white, pipe or an object. Like we have cocoa here, porridge, the white one. But let's look at the psychological effect of the separation of your parents as a child. Growing up, schooling, doing so many things, and probably maybe the only opportunity you had to see a box around town, maybe when you are out of Jamestown, because definitely there was no light, so you have nothing like television.
No,
there was no television.
Well,
at what age did you know what television was?
When I visited my grandfather, he had one, and some of the uncles, so you could peep it through the windows, But yes, Jamestown, I must say, at primary school level, you notice it because you come from Jamestown and you go to a preparatory school in Nima. Quite a few of the children, their parents would drop them with cars, and you wait for bus 13 from Nima to Makola. Those days Makola was a market, and my mom used to sell there, so you go and struggle and sell a bit, and then walk through Opera, and then walk home. I sort of considered it normal. Opera was there, you could watch movies. Those days they showed movies in the afternoon if you wanted to get some money, but of course if you get caught by the old lady, you are in trouble. I would say it was when I went to secondary school that it hits you psychologically, because at secondary school people come and say, where do you come from? They say Jamestown, and everyone starts laughing, because they consider it, people want to pretend to come from East Legon. But those days there was no East Legon. Those days it was Kanda and Dansoman and Asylum Down, those were Tesano. Those were the posh areas, yeah. So everybody comes from there, then you say Jamestown, automatically everybody says Bukom. Because Bukom is full of fishermen who, at that time we had a boxer called DK Poison. He was very famous. So they start calling you DK Poison because, it's like you're a fisherman and a fighter, and it hits you because even at that age, when you're going to talk to a young lady, your confidence is quite low. Because when they say they want to come and visit you at home, you don't know where to take them. And remember, in Jamestown, very few of the houses have toilets. So you use the beach, public toilets, the beach. And you have to learn how to use public bathrooms. But it teaches you survival, because you go to a public bathroom, you want to have a shower, you hold your sponge with one hand, the soap in the other hand, because if you leave the sponge and you clean yourself with, by the time you open your eyes, the soap will be gone.
Then where was the turning point? What really gave you a kind of push to become what you are today? Because just like I said, some of you that are just watching this program, my guest is Dr. Alex Dodoo. Dr. Alex Dodoo is the first African to be elected at the International Society of the Pharmacovigilance for 3 years term, ending at the ISOP General Meeting in 2012. Till next year is still going to be the president of this organization, and there has never been any African apart from European, no other region. The West Africa, the African region, the North America, the American, the European, no other region, continent. I beg your pardon. No other continent had ever been to this level. But here is an African man who grew up at Jamestown, who was defecating in the sea, using public toilet. So an area must have brought about, turning point that you thought, look, I got to be something in life.
Okay, there was a focus to do something, but it wasn't. I wouldn't call it a burning desire. I had L level was okay. I got a 1, so I got Accra Academy, which was helpful. It was more prestigious, but I was still staying in Jamestown. But then I got admission. Not after A level. That was 1983. The economy was not good in Ghana. So with the help of some good friends, we decided to go and seek some fortunes in Nigeria. So I think I left Ghana in August 1983 to go to Nigeria. By the time I got to one, the borders were closed and we were arrested at Aplau and went through all those problems you go with the then border guards. Then you find yourself in Lome, then you find yourself in Semed and Badagry. Then you go to Mile 2 with no money and knowing no one.
Just coming to Nigeria,
you are
not knowing nobody, just going like going on exile.
Well, you need to go into, we used to call it, you have to go and hustle. So you are in Mile 2 and then you know that you must survive. Because after 1 or 2 days you realize that the Ghanaians are staying somewhere. So eventually I managed to find myself in Ijora. And I stayed in Ijora for 2 months. And that was also a different school.
Because tell us what happened in Ijora. Ijora, well, for some of you who don't know Nigeria, Ijora Badia. That is where he lives. I know my 2. No, I know most places in Africa. That's interesting.
No, Ijora is not easy because the Ghanaians were illegal immigrants. In 1981, Ghanaians have been brought back. So it was a turbulent time, and the mobile police at the time, I still don't know whether they are there. They used to come there and arrest the Ghanaians because they knew people were not there legally. So you must be ready for any noise. Ijora is built, it's built on stilts. The house are in water. It's in water. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah now. And we're like 25, 30 in the room. People were smoking what they would smoke, marijuana, anything. It was rough life. But then you could go those days to the flour mills and go and work for some small money. So it was eye-opener because you see how life really is. You see the roughness of life. You come across the toughness of life. You realize that it's a survival issue. So I was there when I got where that the A-level results had come out and I had passed. And I must say the choice was not difficult. I could keep on staying in Ijora, I could come to Ghana and see whether I could get admission to the university. And I felt it's better to come to Ghana and get admission to the university. So by then one had bought a few those days canvas shoes and some small
Nigeria
ghetto blaster, And of course, once you go through Nigeria, those days we call it Agege. Everybody in Ghana calls Nigeria Agege. Once you've been to Agege by road, you know how to return. I mean, the return journey is much easier. You know who to. Those days, who to drive. You need to pay somebody. Those days, 1 naira was a lot of money, so you carried a lot of naira. But yes, 2 months in Nigeria was, I must say, it was. You have to learn how to use a molwe. You go to Majingule Motion.
You see, when you say molwe, people don't know. That is what we call trotro here. Yeah. But it's a bigger trotro.
And it doesn't stop.
The one that has 2 entrances.
Yeah.
The one at the back and one at the front, where you hang, you pile yourself like
sardines. So that was that was life changing, I would say, because I was confronted with the fact that you want to stay here and maybe make 20, 30 naira a week, or go back home and get a career. So I said, let's go back home. So I got back, I gained admission to the university, which was useful. But before then, the university had gone on strike. So luckily, they said we who were meant to enter the university should start what they call national service. So we were the first batch of 6th form national service people. So you can imagine at that stage, age 18, have lived in Jamestown all your life, then you get a job, paying you something like 900 cedis those days. Old Ghana cedis, it cost a lot of money. Like 9 cedis, yes. Yeah. So it was a lot of money to us. I mean, we never had money. Coming from Jamestown, teaching in the secondary school. So that began to change things. Then fortunately, within 9 months, the universities were open, and then I managed to get admission as a student at the Faculty of Pharmacy. That made a lot of difference, because in our days, it was free. You don't pay anything. You just go, they give you your key. Secondly, you don't have to give your key back till you finish your course. So that's why I lived virtually. I didn't have to come back to Jamestown and deal with the shyness issue about where you came from. But I must say that when I was in Nigeria, one thing struck me, that I don't care where I come from, it's where I'm going to which matters. So when I got to Tech, when I was asked Thursday, the whole class, people came, oh yes, I went to Precept. I said, my name is Alex Dodoo, I'm from Jamestown. The whole class laughed, and all that they started making fun. But by then had developed a resilience. I always use the word that in Nigeria you learn to fight and you learn to survive. And believe me, if you can survive Ijora, there are very few things you can take. And it's curious because I've since then been to Nigeria as a guest of the government to work with the Nigerian version of FDB, NAFDAC it's called. And so when you go on the red carpet, I rolled out and you said, look, you don't know, the first time I came here, I didn't come by air.
So anytime you now go back to Nigeria and you see the red carpet being rolled, you whisper to somebody that this is the same Alex that was sleeping inside water in Ijora.
Yeah. I said, look, you go to the Sheraton in Abuja and they say, look, you don't know what to do. It's like you are humbled by life. You say, what? Because those days Abuja was being built, so you could see news about Abuja 80s. I must say, for me, it opened up life. It meant that through all the toughness that you faced, you stand because you believe that if God has preserved you through all these things, He's surely going to preserve you. But
at that time, was there a time when you look at the whole situation and say, oh, well, why am I giving myself this headache? Why not just allow me give up and then maybe do anything that comes my way, taxi driving, trotro driving, fishing, and what have you?
Oh, I tried. I've sold napkins before. We've sold things around the opera area, blades, anything which will be bought. But the return, maybe I'm a bad salesman. The returns were not very good. And I must say that UST then, as it was called, rather than Kenyan UST, was a relief because it gave you a haven. You had your own room, sharing with 2 people. During the holidays, you have your own room to yourself. I felt in a company of lecturers who were good friends. Some of them were running businesses that, you wash your car, you do bits and pieces for them during the holidays. And they give you, some
university students washing cars?
Oh, you do anything. I keep telling a lot of university students that they don't know how to move on in life. Because there was one lecturer, he would kill me if he hears me say, I'll say, it's very good. He's not a friend, and not that I'm the president of the pharmacist in Ghana, I'm his president. But when I was in first year, he was a teaching assistant, and I go to his house, so I said, can I clean the kitchen? There was this young man, and he took a liking to us because myself and another friend, that when we come there, we were helping to clean his car, do everything. So he became like a big brother, small boy, so very good. When he buys food, he will call you. And so financial problems on campus were minimized. But yes, I have done things on KMUS campus. I joined the acting team and we're acting at the secondary schools and we're being paid for acting. So we made a bit of, we had to survive. when I come from Jamestown, if by God's grace she's helped to go to school, you can't expect her to pay everything. Yes, the demands were very little, just what to eat and what to drink, because our days they give you 2 meals a day, but it wasn't enough. Fortunately, my whole aim at the time was just to pass and go and get a shop somewhere. But by the time you complete the course, then you realize you are the best student in the course, and then something strikes you that, wait a minute.
You were the best student?
Yeah, in my year, in pharmacy. So it's like,
wow.
It's like, no, you must do something else. And that is when then it becomes like, maybe if I put my mind to it, just maybe if I put my mind to it, maybe if I get focused, if I get directed, maybe it will work out. And I must say, since then, I've just, you come back from university, you see your friends that you are with, they are still your good friends, we hang around. They've been working since they left O-level, and yet sort of their salaries are just small. So I must say, when I left KNUST, I said, if God wills and I get a chance, I'll go for my doctorate. I'll do my doctorate even if I don't need it. And I don't know why I wanted to do my doctorate. But I just felt, I've had good dividends doing the first degree. Let me go as far as it takes. After all, I'm not married, I was single. I didn't have any responsibilities. And the first thing I did, of course, after university was, as our tradition demands, pray to get my first salary, after my university. And I gave it to my grandma and, everyone. And then you feel like you are now relieved. Now you can move on in life. And I must say, fortunately, by God's grace, best students got a scholarship to King's College. And then the rest is history.
Now, when you were going to King's College in UK,
yeah,
how did you feel? Jamestown
to the UK.
Jamestown, joining anyhow car to Aflao, locked up in Aflao for some days.
Yes.
Crossed over to Togo,
caught up again in Benin, caught for a few
down
days
to Ijora, living inside water, and now asked to say, Alex Dodoo, this is your aeroplane taking you to UK.
I had gone to the UK in the final year because I was very active with the students.
Okay.
I was always coordinating drug safety, which is still what I'm doing. So we got a conference in the UK, and they paid half. No, those days Ghana was generous to students. They gave us half tickets. And it was interesting because I had no money, even to pay for the half. Jamestown. But those days, we had heard that if you go, you can make some money. So I asked a friend, Reginald Taki, and he gave me some small loan, and a few other friends. And in the end, I managed to get the other half to pay the 50% ticket. But I arrived in the UK also with £3.50 in my hand. That was all the money I had. Those days, and the conference was in Nottingham, and by the time we got to, I think, to King's Cross Station, I had only £1. Unfortunately, there were like 10 Ghanaian students, and one of them, Salan Safran, he said, "Oh, Alex, don't worry. Do you need to know that you needed money?" I said, "No." But I must say that the driving force was, if I could go to Nigeria with nothing, I would survive anywhere. So he gave me a loan. We went for the conference. After the conference, we located some distant relatives and some close relatives, stayed with them, did some McDonald's, cleaned a few toilets. In the UK, third level. So I worked in McDonald's before, plenty. Cleaning nightclub toilets. Those days, immigration wasn't the problem, So you collect £2 an hour here, but I realized that if you put in the hours, you get the money. So I did put in the hours. I repaid a loan, bought something for everybody. Even saved something like £10. I think in the end I saved like £50. But it was good. But yeah, you have gone through everything. I've done the chips, I've done after the toilet you scrap. You need money, you need a job.
So you watch toilets?
Yeah, you go for the interview and you think it's a job. They say, yeah, it's cleaning, but it's about 20 toilets. Those days, I think it was £2.50 an hour. So if you do 2 hours every morning, it was £5. So you do it 5 days every 25. That's the morning one. Then from there you go to McDonald's. Then you go and do the evening cleaning in the nightclub.
And you were very good in cleaning. You're a good cleaner.
Now I can say I'm an expert cleaner.
Wow. Now let's get to the story of when you were about to leave for King's University, King's College.
It was a miracle. Because I applied for 60 schools for scholarships. Because one of my lecturers, the same Eric Wood, he said, "You can be a good student, but it seems you're not even thinking about being a good student. Now that you are the best student in your year, make sure you apply to schools and you may get a scholarship." So my colleague said, "Look, let's go for it." So I applied for over 60 schools across the world. As God will have it, I had King's College with a full scholarship. And it was shocking when I got a letter. Because believe you me, the whole family everybody was shocked. You have a letter saying that you are going to be paid a plane fare, you are being given accommodation, you are being paid school fees. It was obviously it was a party time. it's nothing you can describe. I mean, the first time was a struggle because the first time, and it was Ghana Airways and even getting on the flight. But this time, British Airways, everything was laid out. It was mind blowing. I mean, you didn't know what to do. So I got to King's College. The course was tough. Masters in Science, 1 year full-time course. But the scholarship was generous. Then I think it was like £600.
Wow.
Yeah, it was generous. You paid your rent. You could save like 200, 250. But I made a commitment that every month sending money to the old lady at home and the sisters and brothers. I just felt like if you reach here, now is your chance, take it. And I must say, there were suggestions from a lot of friends, oh, do extra work, do this. Then I told no. I've been brought here on full scholarship. If I can make the best of this course, who knows? So I was the best student in that course.
You were still the best again?
Yep, and I got an award for it from the university. And that is why they got me back for my doctorate in the same university.
Wow.
So that was...
Scholarship again?
Well, that was even more interesting because I had left after the Masters being the best student to go and stay in Canada because I had a scholarship there as well. I didn't like Canada. It was too cold. Minus 40. January, February. I said, no, I would die here. Then the UK said, come over. They actually got me a work permit. So I went for my PhD as a worker, which means I was earning quite a bit. I think I was earning about £1,000 a month. And that was
a big man has come.
At that stage, everything has changed because the PhD was being sponsored by industry. You are getting more than the average student. And as my supervisor said, I was her best PhD student because...
You were still best?
That's what she said. And I said, but PhD, we don't rank. But that was what she wrote in my reference letter when I wanted to come back to Ghana.
Wow. Best at the university, Kwame Nkrumah University here in Ghana. Best at the master's level. Best at the PhD level. I think, have you started your professorship program? Maybe you'll still be best. Maybe after sending your thesis and everything, the supervisor will say, look, you are still the best.
I can say I write a lot of publications scientifically, so inshallah, it's in God's hands.
Well, my guest has been Dr. Alex Dodoo. Dr. Alex Dodoo is the International Society of Pharmacovigilance, and he's been a very wonderful and interesting personality on Trailblazers Africa today. Now, at the local level, you are still the president of the
Pharmaceutical of Ghana, yeah.
Now, let's look at that association. How did you become the president again?
It was an interesting thing because I've been quite supportive of the society, but I've never stood for executive position. In 2005, I saw the elections. I said, in 2007, I would go for it. But then I had to ask myself, why do I want to go for it? Then I said, look, we live here as young people and we don't think we have anything to offer. So I said, I am going to stand for this election. Now, interestingly, when I declared my intention, got my boys to have a website for me in 2005, 2007, the competition just disappeared. So I was the only candidate. And I had challenges because I was the first candidate who had to take them to Tamale for an annual general meeting. We had to host a conference of all pharmacists in the Commonwealth with me as a host. So we had 2,000 people coming from across the world. Challenging stuff. But I mean, when I got there, I had only one intention: service, service, service. I felt that the only thing you can do within your country, especially when, fortunately, you have been blessed with other opportunities, and I mean external opportunities, is to just provide service to your nation. And I must say that the 4 years, history will judge, but members of the society are on record to have said several times that it's been excellent times. We've built new secretariats, the image of the profession has just gone high. We've ensured that a lot of students have gone for masters or PhD. As you can see, I'm interested in building people. So people want to get stuck at one place, I can stand.
Now you're interested in building people.
Yep.
Now, how have you been going about that? I'm interested in that because this is someone who came from nowhere to become somebody in life. To God be the glory. Now, how are you building? Now, your story is even enough to challenge any younger, person who thinks age is no longer on his side. Because from what you have just said, at 18 you were still, jostling from Nigeria to Ghana, and then only God knows when this opportunity came, at what level the opportunity came. So what are you doing to, impart this to other younger generation? Like you said, building others.
I became very much aware that my life, the whole life has been built on grace. At 18, when I came back to Ghana and I was doing my national service, the Archbishop, the now Archbishop of West Africa, Akrofi, saw me. So what are you doing? So I'm waiting for my results. So what course? I said, anything I get in the university, I'll do. Then he called me and gave me counseling and actually drove me to Tech, and I got admission. So
Archbishop
Akrofi, the Archbishop, Anglican Archbishop of West Africa. So it's like, wait a minute. Someone does that for you, it opens doors. When I started working here, because I'm also the head of the Center for Clinical Pharmacology at the medical school, my head of department, Francis Ofer, said, or the previous, the one who I took over, he said, don't let anyone be where you met him. But when I was in King's College, I noticed a difference, which is so different from what I was used to in Ghana. My professors would call you and encourage you. They would say things like, at King's College, anybody who comes here is one of the family. Unless you want to fail, we'll make sure you don't fail. But if you want to fail, it's up to you. And sort of they listen to you. So when I started working, the first thing I told all my staff members at the university is that I don't want to meet anyone at the same level I found you. If I only have a 3-year term as head of department, everybody. So when I came in, there were about 4 people with masters. They haven't gone for their PhD for years. They've all gone for their PhDs and they've all returned. Those without masters have gone for masters. My secretary then had no degree. She's gone for the degree. She's now doing an MBA. I just moved everyone up. There's only one person who said, well, he preferred to stay at a particular level. It was quite a low level, and he felt moving them up would change his schedule and he would not be able to do his businesses and other things, which is fair. Everybody has moved up. At the Pharmaceutical Society, any single pharmacist who expresses a desire to do a master's, I'll start chasing for opportunities for you. Because I believe that a lot of people have a lot to offer. And my experience so far has been that counseling is very weak. So students come out and they just don't know what to do or where to go. People still think, well, you read this subject. I read pharmacy. I did my PhD in drug delivery. I've worked in industry. But most of my work has not been in public health, where I've been advising the World Health Organization on vaccine safety, on drug safety, on dealing with crises, on dealing with emergencies. And if it's just because you've got to give yourself the chance. But you have to work hard. And sometimes, sadly, this generation has a serious inability to work hard. And the joke I always give them is that even if you're a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist, you must stand on your feet to work before you get your money. A brain surgeon doesn't say, I'm a brain surgeon, so he goes to bed and makes his money. A good surgery can take 12 hours on your feet. So the fact that you're a brain surgeon doesn't mean that you don't work hard. It only means that your hourly rate is plenty, but the work is still tough. When I do consulting for countries, yes, my rate is very high, but I have to work to make sure that they will call me back tomorrow. And this generation sometimes don't realize that. I'm a columnist for The Spectators, you probably will be aware. I write every week on health issues. I always want to give something back. But writing every week for a national weekly is no joke. Last night at 10 o'clock, I didn't have my story. And they're going to press this morning. So you kill the body. You say, look, forget our pain. There is a public out there who needs service. You must give them a story they will like, and a story which is useful.
Don't forget, that was a quotation from one of my guests on this program, precisely the publisher of Ovation magazine. He said, prayer is hard work in action. Is that the same with Dr. Alex Dodoo? We will find out that after this break. We'll be back on Trailblazers Africa.